Hello, good evening. This is Brother Benson Media, and today is on Thursday. We are blessed to have an opportunity this evening to have a discussion, of course, a discussion based on the political news or the politics of Eastern Africa. That is specifically, we'll be having a discussion on what is happening in Tanzania. After that, we'll get back to the politics of the Republic of Kenya, and then whatever will come up again, we'll also give our views. I want to take this opportunity to welcome all our viewers and to remind you that this is Brother Benson Media, and here we say that your opinion counts. If you are watching for the first time, kindly like and subscribe to the channel. It is a way of supporting us, na ukifanya hivyo sisi hapa tutasema ni asante. Before I get into the discussion, allow me to acknowledge the presence of Good Ear at the comment section. Thank you so much, Good Ear, for finding time to be with us this evening. And I'll give you a minute, Miguda, to say hi na tuambie siku yako imekuwa vipi.
Asante sana kakangu. Mimi siku yangu imekuwa vyema. Nashukuru Mola kwa siku hii ya leo na nimekuwa mzima. Na vile vile pia ningependa kukaribisha wale wenzetu wanaotazama na pia kukaribisha rafiki yetu Kudia katika kipindi hiki chetu, na vile vile pia kukaribisha wewe katika hii kipindi. Na ningependa pia kuambia wale wenzetu ambao wanatazama kwa mara ya kwanza kuhakikisha kwamba wamesubscribe na vile vile pia wamekuwa moja ya sisi katika hii familia yetu. Kwako Mark.
Okay, thank you so much, Miguda, for finding time to join us this evening. We really appreciate, and for that reason, I want to as well welcome our viewers and to remind them that this is Brother Benson Media, and here we say your opinion counts. If you are watching us and maybe you want to give us your take or you want to give us your comment, feel free. Just request for the link and I'll share it at the comment section. You can come in and give us your take or your view on what you think. Okay, thank you so much. So I'll just get straight to the discussion of today. And as the topic goes, we are having a discussion on Tanzania's democratic eruption and, of course, Kenya's political reboot, where specifically we'll dwell on what has been happening, the protests, the political suppressions that we've been seeing in Tanzania, and of course, the regional implications of this particular demonstration. Not forgetting, if you remember very well, during the last year, during June of this year, we had consistent demonstration in the Republic of Kenya, of course, led by the young people, the Gen Z. And, that demonstration went for several weeks, several months, and it really impacted. It came with a lot of implication, not just for the Republic of Kenya and also to its neighboring countries, including Tanzania. And this time round, of course, it is happening in Tanzania. We will look into the implication of this particular demonstration and why it is happening. And I'll just get straight to the discussion and the election. What we are seeing in in Tanzania is what we call election boycott and disqualifications, where we saw quite a number of leaders who are showing interest in this particular, in several positions within the government of Tanzania. Majority of them were blocked chief opposition leader was blocked. Not just him, quite a number. And of course, that is part of the reason why we are seeing an election boycott in Tanzania. Upon the disqualification, where the opposition parties like Chadema and ACT Wazalendos were sidelined. And the question we are asking, Migoda, is what does this mean for the multi-party democracy that is being enjoyed in Tanzania? And why would a government, or why would leaders, or why would this kind of instruction be given to disqualify opponents or opposition parties? What is your take, Mr. Migoda, and how did that then implicate or how did that take Tanzania to this particular problem where now we're seeing a massive turnout on the street, people coming out, and they did boycott the election?
Historically, Tanzania has been perceived to be the peaceful country in East Africa, in Africa, and in the world. The founding fathers like Julius Nyerere and other people at that time had intent to make sure that they remained peaceful for the sake of their country. And to that extent, there was no identity of the people by their tribe. People were being identified as Tanzanians. That has been the intent of the founding fathers, and it has been an history that has been developed for a quite long time. Just like another country, things might change along the way, because to me, Tanzanians have never achieved self-internal rule, because Tanzanians are still being subjected to a dictatorial state by the current president. You talked about multi-party democracy, but personally, I look at it in the terms of democracy at large, because what we are experiencing today in Tanzania, modern Tanzania, is dark age era, whereby we are in a colonial era. There is no transparency. There is no democracy. There is no rule of law. It is a rule of an individual by a gun, not the people. The people should be the center of decision making, and the people should be the people ruling, not an individual. Democracy is under trial in Tanzania, and the election is not what is ought to be. It is something else that we don't know how we can define it, because it all started by subjecting the worthy opponents into fake trials, into detention. After they have subjected the worthy opponents to detention and whatever they were doing, she remained herself contesting for the presidency. Then to that extent, the good people on the election day, instead of walking to the polling station to vote, they made a decision to protest. And that's now bring me to the issue that Tanzanians must solve their issues by themselves. No one will go to Tanzania to assist them. If they can protest far right for their issues to be resolved, by their people, then they will celebrate. We have been advising them that it is never easy to draft a constitution like what we have, the 2010. It was drafted on the people's blood. People had to shed blood for it to be drafted. But Tanzanians from the founding fathers had always intended to have a peaceful country without going to protest, without shedding blood, without protesting. I'm not advocating for the violence, but I just want to say some of these things, achieving them has never been easy. It all takes sweat and blood for people to enjoy and celebrate. What we are enjoying today as a Kenyan people, basic rights and fundamental freedoms, it's as a result of blood and sweat of Kenyan people. Kenyan currently understand we are more of a litigant. Each and every time people record my rights, my freedoms, we are in court each and every day demanding for our rights and freedoms, the political right to contest for a political seat, right to participate in political exercise, right to associate with political parties, our political rights, our fundamental freedoms, right to protest. We protested, we picket, we assemble whenever we want because it's enshrined in our constitution. Right to be heard, right to be charged. Unlike Tanzania, the precedent they are trying to create today, it is not what the world is. It is not the world as it is. The world as it is currently, people are way much ahead of subjecting people to many things, coercing people. Remember, Kasongo tried it here in Kenya, but failed. Ruto tried to apply it here and failed. Remember, before, during, and after the Gen Z revolt, there were abductions, extrajudicial killings, threats, coercion. Enough is enough, until he was fed up and decided to do the way people want things to be done in this country. And that's how it should be. You can't rule by yourself. You must rule with the constitution, the rule of law. In a society whereby people are informed, people have gained formal education, the population understand how to read, to write, to count. You can't subject them to those colonial errors and succeed. The people of Tanzania were revolting on election day because, just like other nations, they are also up to date. They understand the challenges democracy is facing in the African at large. And of late, it has never been easy in Africa. We have had a lot of protest by the people against the regime. Even back here in the country, people were revolting against Ruto. We have seen many African countries. Tanzania is not an exception. The only difference is that Tanzania has always been a peaceful country. They haven't seen such things happen in their country. But with the incoming of a dictator, a female dictator, who want to decide on our own in East Africa. That one cannot happen here in Kenya, what she was doing. Because you must allow your opponent, you must compete. But the issue of competing by yourself and you want to subject the citizens to partake your orders and rulings, to me, I don't understand how they will do it, but that one that one no one can imagine to do it in Kenya. It can't happen. It cannot happen. There are things that are long forgotten. But I will urge my brothers or my neighbors to continue pressing, to protest far right for their rights, to seek for freedoms, because it has never been easy. Many people have fought for it. Even the United States of America fought for it. Most of these countries which are being perceived to be democratically stable, in quote, fought for it. No one got it on a silver platter. Therefore, they should keep on injecting. We don't want to have similar incidents in East Africa, in Africa, at this juncture. This is a time for Africa to rise. Therefore, we need to ensure that we get rid of such leaders. We thought when people get rid of Idi Amin Dada or Mobutu Sese Seko, we thought we were done. Little did we know that there was another one coming from Tanzania who wanted to establish things that were buried in the books of history. So the good people of Tanzania should keep on injecting, protest. It doesn't matter even whether there's a curfew, whether they want to declare the results, but you must protest for your rights.
Thank you. And look at there's a comment there from Douglas. I think Douglas is talking to you. I don't know what sijui anamaanisha nini, lakini najua ndugu yetu Douglas kumwelewa inakwanga ngumu sana. Na vile najua anakuzungumzia Miguda, anasema just be neutral in your arguments without saying Kasongo. Your subscribers are also, I don't know what a good friend anamaanisha. But anyway, thank you so much, Douglas, for finding time to join us this evening. We really appreciate your presence. To our viewers, if you're watching for the first time, kindly just engage us at the comment section and kindly like and subscribe. Tutashukuru sana. Our good friend Good Year is saying that it's time to show the tyrants and dictators the highway. Okay, thank you. The two-term CEO is still Kasongo. He likes the name. He's not complained. Okay, thank you so much. Good year. And Mr. Miguda, the youth-led protest in Tanzania. Why are young Tanzanians taking to the street? Are they having what we call economic frustration? You can tell us from your understanding, how is the economy of Tanzania? Is it one that is favoring the lives of the people of Tanzania and specifically the youths? Something else, the political exclusion. Is this the reason why the youths are getting to the street? Are they politically excluded or their leaders? But why again do they think that they are politically excluded if they've always been led by one party, that is CCM? And then you can also give us your take on the digital activism amongst the youths. Could that be the reason why they're getting to the streets. Do they have freedom of speech? Do they have the freedom to interact and to give their views over the social media platforms? Miguda?
First, I want to agree with you that the Tanzanian people, not that they have been ruled by one person, it's one political party, but there have been different people taking from each and every person. So the people have been ruled there. So there have been different people under CCM. And the previous leaders, just like I've told you, the previous leaders, I know of Mwalimu Julius Nyerere, his intention was to have a stable and peaceful country, whereby there were no room for tribalism. There was that socialism dubbed Ujamaa, whereby Tanzania for Tanzania, sisi ni wa Tanzania. Ujamaa was more of a combination of many people from different tribes coming together to work together for the nation. Wanatumikia taifa without any discrimination, without any reference from where you're coming from. That's how Mwalimu intended Tanzania to be. I also saw Magufuli, hapa kazi tu. The slogan was hapa kazi tu. So it was about development. There's no room for tribalism. There's no room for dictatorial. There's no room for subverting the people's will. Just work. Then came this one we have today. A lot of complications, detention, fake trials, controlling electoral body, all sorts of manners, switching off internet, curfew on election day. So it's not the Tanzania we used to know. Even if the youth of Tanzanians are perceived not to be intellects, but from the time memorial, they have had privy to their history that they have been led with people who intended the country to be peaceful, to be stable, to be developed, be democratic. But here comes a person who want to delete all the effort made by the forefathers or founding fathers of that country. History has informed the current youth that are also from the global perception of things, that they can protest against a dictator. They can protest against anybody who want to introduce fake things which were not there. Even if they are peaceful people, even if they are not violent people, but you cannot take that peaceful or cool people. You cannot take that for your own advantage. That works for you because the population are perceived to be peaceful. Now I can do everything I want without the consent of the people and the law because they can never protest. That is very wrong. That's what they're trying to send to Madam. That Madam, it can't be. It can't be your way. You can't take advantage of our situation to carry out your tactics to rule us. So they are warning her. The digital space to me is very vital because they have borrowed from their fellow youths in the global, that whenever anybody is attempting to subvert the will of the people, anybody want to rule by himself, not by the people, not to the people, there are very many avenues to counter that person. The streets can call, and if the streets calls, that's one of the way it is applicable. Many leaders have been sent away through the street. Samia can also follow the same route. So I think that's why they have been charged and ready to transform their country, because if they don't transform their country today, they will have to live for a quite long time with that kind of leadership. Like I've told you, the current generation and the future, they are not the people who can be in a environment whereby they are applying the dictator's tactics. There are people who want to thrive in a peaceful, competitive, meritocracy society, because the economical rights and social rights are perceived to be enjoyed universally. When economy is doing good for a chaga, it's also doing good for a jita or a sukuma. If I have a good health facilities, it is applicable universally. It is not only applicable to a certain section of the population. That's why the youth must rise up to ensure that they fight. No one is going to fight for them, for their economical and social rights. To me, I'm supporting them because it's high time for them to understand that the country belongs to them. Economy and social rights affects them. If they don't do so, they will not have a country. So it's better for them to start early so that they can have a country. Back to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Miguda. Allow me to also take this opportunity to welcome our good friend, Mr. Barak. Mr. Barak, I'll give you a chance to say hi, and then you give us your take on the topic that we are discussing tonight. Partly, we are focusing on Tanzania, and the question I'm asking is, why did we see what we call an election boycott? And of course, the disqualification of quite a number of the opposition leaders, including the Chadema and the ACT or the ACT, the Wazalendo. Why were they sidelined? And what does this mean for multi-party and democracy, Mr. Barak? You can also give us a reason why this demonstration was a youth-led protest. Could it be they are seeing, they are facing or having what we call economical frustration? Are they coming out because of the political exclusion? Is it digital activism based on the consistent activism, digital activism that we've been seeing, not just in Tanzania, but across the continent and in the entire globe? And I was just watching something about Larry Madowo, who is the CCN reporter. And people were asking him that why is it that you've not gone to Tanzania to cover the election and what is happening in Tanzania. And I saw him saying that reporting in Tanzania you're not allowed, especially when you're a foreign journalist. Even Tanzanian journalists are not allowed. You have to be accredited with a permit that is, of course, coming from the government. And the Tanzania government do not give that to foreign journalists. And he did also mention something that even the journalists who are in Tanzania, they are not allowed, to report to some extent what is happening in Tanzania. And that partly I'm seeing some truth in that because I've been trying to follow through the channels of Tanzania, and there's none that is giving elaborate the truth of what is happening in Tanzania. And part of the videos that we are seeing in our media stations are videos which have been taken by just cell phones or phones, but they are not even of good quality. And I think that is also a confirmation that whatever Larry was saying is true. And you can give us your take on that as well. The media blackout and the internet shutdown. Why would the government be controlling I mean, why, how the government is controlling the narrative, and of course, what is leaking out anyway? You can give us your take on that, Mr. Barak. And again, because I just want us to wrap the whole discussion in Tanzania, you can give us your take on the regional silence, of course, versus the global concern. We've seen why the neighboring countries like Kenya remain quiet while the international bodies are raising alarms. You saw the United States of America did issue a statement to their citizens, warning them of, considering being in safety regions. And of course, Mr. Barak, you'll give us your take on that. And how does this impact? What is the impact on this on EAC and of course the trade that the countries have been enjoying? Could Tanzanians' unrest destabilize East Africa integration efforts? That is a question that I would also want you to give your take on, Mr. Barak.
Hello, Bwana Mark Meguda. Good evening. And good evening. Hi, Gypsy Corner. So nice to be here. I just want to start by saying that I think we have a problem I don't know if it's analysts or Kenyans who are analyzing the Tanzanian politics, or is it that some of us are suffering from selective amnesia, or we were not here in 2020. We are analyzing this election as if it's anything different from what happened in Tanzania in 2020. I heard Miguda praising the late John Pombe Magufuli, as I was really concerned with Hapa Nikazi too. But he has not talked about how John Pombe Magufuli won his second term in office. What Samia Suluhu is doing, she's just copy pasting what Magufuli did in 2020. If you are not maybe of age to understand how politics was happening in Tanzania, maybe you can just go on YouTube and watch, or you can just read history books. You'll realize that what Samia is doing right now is what John Pombe Magufuli did in 2020. And I don't know if Migud has forgotten that Tundu Lissu was shot 16 times in Tanzania and was rescued when he was rushed here to Nairobi Hospital, and later on lifted to Belgium. So anybody praising John Pombe Magufuli, I think maybe you have a problem, because this is the guy who planted this dictatorship that has being advanced by Samuel Suluhu. And if you don't remember that, then it means you are not following politics by then. Yeah, and remember in 2020, even Chama CCM is the only party that was allowed to campaign in Tanzania. And remember, it was during COVID era, and Magufuli said that there was no COVID. COVID was just a scam. And he was holding political rallies across Tanzania, and he had banned all other opposition parties from holding political party campaigns. So that is the foundation that John Pombe Magufuli laid in Tanzania. And that is why in 2020 election, Chadema ended up with only one member of parliament who was a female and was an ally of CCM, but all other seats were swept by CCM. So there's nothing different right now in 2020. What CCM is doing is what they did in 2020. And if nothing changes, they will just do it again in 2020, in 2030, because the election is in 5 years' time after today. So let us not look at today's events and think that this is something unique. It is not something unique. Tanzanians have been always a closed country. Even in 2020, there was internet shutdown. during that election, and the social media were not operating. So, and anybody who attempted to challenge the status quo was dealt with thoroughly. Yeah. So there is nothing new in Tanzania today. They're just repeating what they did in 2020. So if you don't know that, then go into the internet and try to follow up on what happened that day. They don't allow foreign reporters. It is obvious. Even during COVID, they didn't allow foreign reporters. And whatever, I don't know if you see how they came up with some traditional boilers, and you are told to go and pass in through, and when you reach the other end, COVID itakuwa imeenda. So Tanzania has always operated in isolation, and they have been the one derailing even the East Africa integration. Yeah. So there is nothing unique with what is happening in Tanzania. So they're just doing their usual thing, and I don't think that whatever is happening there can really warrant a topplement of a government, because I don't think they have the capacity to topple the government. They don't have the way Tanzanians have been socialized. They will just try to make noise here and there, but after one to few days, you'll just see them relaxed, because wanasemanga Tanzania sisi wote ni ndugu bwana, sisi wote ni ndugu, hatuna kabila, hatuna nini. So they thrive on that, and the leadership of Tanzania, they've taken advantage of that narrative of always reminding them that sisi wote ni ndugu. Yeah, so you should not bring up noise and try to disrupt the status quo, because all of us are brothers. So for me, I think what is happening there is just a continuation of what was established there by John Pombe Magufuli. And remember, when John Pombe Magufuli died, there was some kind of sigh of relief in Tanzania. And when because they will say, okay, the guy had led us with an iron fist. Now we have a mama who is going to lead us with an open arm, because as there's that expectation that you will be soft to the children and so on and so forth. So even when Suluhu started, people were seeing some kind of difference in terms of her leadership style and John Pombe Magufuli's style. But because of the CCM now as a party, and those who are leading that party, they had to make her to become very strong and start now showing those iron fist, the way Magufuli was leading with iron fist. And remember, she's not just making decisions on her own. CCM is a party that is very powerful, and they have men there, and let me just say men, who are deciding on behalf of the candidate on what to be done. And remember, it is CCM that is running the government. So if you don't understand how strong political parties behave, look at CCM, and you can compare CCM with the Communist Party of China, and see that it is the political party that makes so many decisions that are affecting the nation. And political parties that are very strong like that, you find that they have strong members who are either former leaders or current leaders who are leading the party, and they're the ones who are going to dictate on what actions to be taken, because they are so much concerned of retaining power. So maintaining their grip on power is what concerns them so much, that they will not really care about these other things. So when we are talking about Tanzanian politics, do not divorce John Pombe Magufuli from the mess that they are facing right now. And do not think that what happened there yesterday, it is unique. It happened in 2020. There was internet blackout. Foreign journalists were locked out. There was a lot of what is happening now. It's just a replica of what happened then. So in terms of interrupting trade, that is obvious. When there is unrest, you do not expect goods and services to continue moving as usual, because human beings are involved in the movement of goods and services. And when there's unrest, human beings will take cover. They will try to protect themselves, and so that means that there will be an interruption in terms of trade within the East African community. The silence that is there, it is normal. In Africa, it is very difficult for leaders to win election free and fair. So even I remember sometime when Mugabe was accused of rigging election in Zimbabwe, and he went to attend AU meeting, and there was a lot of disquiet, people saying that he should be banned from attending AU meeting because he has rigged the election. And he just went there and he asked a simple question: can any president in this room, can any president in this room who won election free and fair stand up and ask me a question? All of them was sat down quietly, because they knew that in Africa it is very difficult to win election free and fair. So if you ask, for example, if Ruto asked Mama Samia, what are you doing? Atamuuliza, na wewe ulifanya aje ukakuwa president? Museveni akiuliza atauliza, na wewe ulifanya nini kule 2020 2021? So because of this, they usually love to keep off, so that this specific country can sort out their mess. Once their mess, they've already sorted out their mess, and now they have some kind of clarity on who is the president. Now they'll come in. You remember, even in 2007, when Kenya was having issues, it is only President Museveni who congratulated Kibaki. All other African presidents kept off, because they knew that this mess can result into this guys not being the president. And how will you confront, how will you relate with another person who will come in as the president when already congratulating the guy who rigged the election? So sometimes it's always good just to keep on. If you understand diplomacy, you realize that sometimes silence is very important because of this internal bilateral relationships. Because if you just start commenting and realistically, and maybe the person ends up being the president, and you are busy there condemning the person, how will you relate with the person for the next 5 years? Because she's going to be there for the next 5 years. How will that now affect bilateral relationship between Kenya and Tanzania? So it is very much safe to be quiet, so that you are not seen as someone who is a country that is taking side. Remember, citizens are allowed to comment, because we don't really represent the country. We represent personal opinions. But when the Minister of Foreign Affairs speaks, that is the CS for diaspora, Musalia Mudavadi, or when the president speaks, these are people who are speaking not on their behalf, but on the behalf of a country. So it will really not be a good thing if they speak and they give the position of the country, and yet now what maybe their interest is, maybe the person they're criticizing ends up holding the position of the president for the next 5 years. So that might bring some challenges. That is why you see the East African community is silent, SADC is silent, even African Union is silent, because they just want to see how, because Tanzania, remember, Tanzania is a sovereign country. And even if the US speaks, even if European Union speaks, they don't have any common border with Tanzania. But Kenya, we have a common border with Tanzania, And remember, we interact in terms of goods and services. So you understand that most of the food that even we consume in Kenya comes from Tanzania. So as a neighbor, because we have a common border with Tanzania, it is not always wise just to comment on issues of a neighboring country that you have a common border with, without having clarity on what is really going to happen. In diplomacy, that can really work against you. So you must keep cool, monitor the situation, understand what is going on until there is clarity. That's when now you can come up as a country and maybe congratulate. Obviously, they'll just come and congratulate the incoming president. That is how diplomacy works. So hii kelele ya kusema sijui yesi wamenyamaza nini, they have to keep quiet. Sasa watasema nini? Will they condemn their colleague? That is not how diplomacy works. They cannot condemn their colleague. Wewe umeona how Israel imekuwa ikiangamiza watu Gaza. Have you ever seen America condemning Netanyahu even one day? Because that is their ally. You cannot come out and condemn. That is your ally. So you monitor the situation, and once you come up to comment, you are commenting from a point of knowledge and understanding, and from a point of clarity. So sisi wananchi wa kawaida, we can say anything, whatever we want. We can nickname Suluhu, we can say whatever we are saying. But when it comes to leadership, because they represent the country. They cannot just come out and speak the way Kenyans are speaking online. That applies also to Tanzania. Look at, not Tanzania, even to Uganda and even to Rwanda. Now, let me just ask you a simple question. How many percentage did Magufuli get in 2020? If you see an election that a president wins by more than 95%, is that really an election, or is just a formality? Yeah. And that is what has been happening even in Rwanda. Yeah. So I don't see anything unique with all these things that are happening in Tanzania that the world should now stand still and start talking about Tanzania. Tanzania wamezoea hii maneno. They've been going through these issues. Magufuli won by, I think, I don't know if 97%, but it was above 95% in 2020. That was an indication that he did not have an opponent. And even this Samia Suluhu now, she's going to win by more than 95%. Just an indication that she does not have an opponent. And even in Rwanda, I think Rwanda, you saw the president won by 99.7%. It's an indication that there is no opponent. Because normally in a democracy, a president who wins by a large percentage will be about 60%. Because above 60, then that's a landslide, which is not really healthy for a democracy. But in a democracy, a president will be winning by 52%, 53%, just show that the election was competitive. Yeah, there was some competitiveness within the election. That's why the other percentage was shared among the opponent. But hapa mahali mtu anakuja na 90 something percent, my friend, this is just a formality, a mere formality. Back to you, Mark. Mark.
Thank you so much, Mr. Barak, for giving us your take. And I'd want to engage you. I'll ask a question, and then Meguda will give his take, and then you'll give your take. We are still remaining with some two topics. One of Fred Matiang'i, and the other one is for Babu Owino meeting Oburu Oginga. So I'll start with one. I'll hear your take very fast, and then I'll start with Meguda. I'll hear his take, and then I'll come back to you, Mr. Barak. And I don't know, Meguda, if there's anything else that you still want to say about Tanzania, you'll give your take on that. And let's get to Matiang'i's presidential endorsement, where Kenya's opposition, of course, realignment, and of course the Matiang'i comeback. We saw the Jubilee's endorsement, where Fred Matiang'i named as the party's 2027 presidential candidate. And Mr. Meguda, what does this signal? And of course, Raila's succession puzzle, is Matiang'i the heir apparent, or is this a separate power center forming? Remember, Matiang'i was at Jaramogi's what was at Raila's burial site, where he was received, and he carried with him quite a number of Kisii leaders whom they visited that area, and he talked about unity of the people of Nyanza, where he mentioned that the people of Kisii and the Luo are one, and there's they are in that part of Kenya, and insisted on unity and working together as a way of making peace and ensuring that there is what we call unity, according to his statement while he had attended the burial at Raila Odinga's place. And of course, the public reaction and the political strategy, how Kenyans are responding to Matiang'i's return, and what it means for the youth's vote. Mr. Meguda, you can give us your take on that, and then Barak will also give us his take on that particular before we get to the next topic. Meguda?
Okay, just to take the one for Matiang'i. First, I don't think Matiang'i is the next heir, or Matiang'i is the apparent heir to the throne. An heir cannot just all of a sudden, when the king is dead, that is when Anna is just appearing from nowhere. That because now there is no king is no more. We have Anna. Where has he been? Where has Matiang'i been all along? Matiang'i has never been in the struggle. He has never been in the trenches. He has never been with the king for a quite long time. So I want to rule him out. He's not there. Let me tell you for a fact. Matiang'i is not there. He's not going to inherit that political base for Raila Odinga. That one, as a how. The Jubilee Party has just endorsed him to be the flag bearer in the forthcoming election. That is their internal politics. They just want to position themselves into coalition going forward. There might be coalitions, therefore, they want someone to represent them in the formation of the future coalition. Because previously they had a coalition union with the Inazimio. They were ODM, Jubilee, Wiper. But right now you understand that ODM has moved very swift and confirmed Dr. Brodinga to be the party leader. So after the demise of the king, I think ODM still have a party leader who can engage other political parties in negotiation. The Jubilee also want to have a person who can assist them in negotiation. That's why they are trying to push Fred Okengo Matiang'i. Because Wiper is Kalonzo, DCP there is Rigathi Gachagua, Ruto is in UDA. So maybe they move by the Jubilee to have him as the presidential flag bearer, just to push him. But let me tell you, Matiang'i is not going to be even in that setup. Jubilee had just ruled previously, and even in terms of numbers, Jubilee has got no numbers in parliament. And if you want to make a coalition, if you want to come as a flag bearer to negotiate with your fellow, can you hear me?
Okay.
I'm saying
yes.
Can you hear me? Maybe I lost. If you want to come and negotiate with your fellow coalition partners, there are things that must be put into consideration. For instance, how many numbers do you have in parliament? How many governors do you have? How many can you command? That one will put parties like ODM, parties like UDA in a better position to negotiate, unlike what Matiang'i, I think, just want to position himself as one of the players in the coming election. And this issue whereby they are saying Matiang'i this narrative should stop. He has taken the political base of Raila Odinga. Now he's positioning himself as the leader, and then Nyanza. Now I want to negotiate with the Nyanza people. You talked about the Kisii and Luo community. Look at it whereby the dominant base of Jubilee is not in Nyanza. Jubilee is not even near Nyanza. So you can't have a foreign party. You can negotiate with the region. The party must be just dominant, like DCP, dominant in central. Gachagua is going to negotiate with it at the national level. It can't be contrary, whereby Oburu is going to negotiate with ODM as now. Let me take this example. Or who is there? Wanjigi might be no ODM now negotiating at the national level with the other political from central. No, not foreign. You go and negotiate with the local political party, according to me. And we can't erase the fact that we are tribal-based people in this country. And Jubilee is perceived to be dominant previously in Central. Even in Kisii, previously the governor of Kisii was Ongwae in ODM. And the current governor of Kisii is Simbarati. Simbarati want to defend it with ODM. Matiang'i cannot just come from the sky, now want to say that he's the heir apparent, he's the leader in Nyanza, then he's having a Jubilee from Central, then want to negotiate on the top from Nyanza. What I'm saying is that Matiang'i is just positioning himself to have a political party whereby, in case of a negotiation, he can be at the table to negotiate, to form any coalition in the future. That can be an input. And maybe just wish him all the best. But in terms of presidential, I don't see him, because the presidency, now we need to have at least a larger backyard. Because even in Central alone, Gachagua is having a DCP, and Gachagua has made it clear that their party is DCP to the people of Central. And you are also a rival party in Central Province, like the Jubilee. Jubilee is a rival party, DCP. Then you want to persuade Gachagua to support you on whatever circumstance. I don't think it's going to happen.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Mr. Barak, what is your take on Jubilee's endorsement, where Fred Matiang'i was named as the party's 2027 presidential candidate? What does that signalize? And you can also give us your take on Raila's succession puzzle. Is Matiang'i the heir apparent, or is this a separate power center forming? And then the public reaction and the political strategy. How Kenyans are responding to Matiang'i's return, and what it means for the youths. Mr. Barak, I would give this other question. The DCP and the DAP endorse Seth Panyako. Of course, that is the Western Kenya political chessboard. And of course, Panyako's union legacy, from health workers champion to gubernatorial candidate, will his grassroots appeal translate? And then the strategic alliance, why the DCP and the DAP are backing him, and what this mean for the Luya unity, having in mind that the DCP candidate, he left. He actually decided to step down and support the DAP Kenya candidate, that is Seth Panyako. And what is the impact on this on UDA and ODM stronghold? Could this shift the balance in Kakamega or Bungoma? Mr. Barak, you can give us your take on the two, and then I'll come back to Migude with one question, and then you'll give your take as well, and then we call it a day. Mr. Barak, proceed.
Thank you, Bwana Mark. I think this issue for Matiang'i, I think I blame poverty. Poverty is very bad. When you don't have money and you want to run for the presidency, now you become a slave of those who have money. Matiang'i was one person, I think, that Kenyans had a lot of hope in, especially when they realized that he wanted to become the president. But I think by now, that hope has already been neutralized, or it's just disappeared, because he cannot come out and chart his own path. His attachment to Jubilee is obvious, because he knows that in Jubilee, Uhuru will fund his campaigns. And that is the problem. Yeah, that is the problem. Hana pesa ya kujikampainia. So, if he could have, when he returned from the US, if he could have come and just the way Rigathi did, Form your own political party. See how many people will come to support you. Yeah, but hii mambo imebaki sasa ni makalongolongo. Even today when he was being, did you see anything serious there to just to portray that he is a serious person? Huh? Hata hii mambo ambayo unasema sijui is now an heir apparent. Please don't reduce the discussion of succession to include the name of Matiang'i. Matiang'i cannot even imagine in his dream or even dream of replacing Raila or of stepping into Raila's feet, Raila's shoes. That is beyond his dream or even his imagination. Yeah, the caliber of Raila Odinga, please. Tusijaribu kutaja matu kama Matiang'i ati you can he no, please. Mimi naona kama hiyo ni kukosa heshima tafadhali. Let us respect Raila Odinga, and his successor will just emerge. Even if not in 2027, he will emerge later on, but not his replacement. He's just his successor, someone who will succeed him as a champion of the people, as someone who fights for the rights of the people, someone who holds the government to account, someone who can mtu ambaye anapiga serikali ngeta na the government stands and stills and asking, my friend, unataka tufanye namna gani? So Matiang'i's moment ilishapotea. When he came from the US, akakaribishwa vizuri, he was taken to Gusii Stadium. He even made people like Gloria Uroba to lose their job in the Senate. And right now, look at him. He's just loitering around. Anaenda kutembelea mjane kule na picha yake na Raila Odinga. Shameless person. So this person, this Matiang'i cannot succeed Raila in any way. That's number one. Number two, he cannot be a force in the coming election because he does not have his own political party. Even DCP can do better. And I don't know who said that. I don't know who said that at Jubilee na dominate. Jubilee is not in Central. Central is in DCP, not in Jubilee. I don't know which Central we're talking about. Jubilee is fighting for survival in Gatundu. And even a member of parliament for Gatundu is a member, or they will be elected in DCP. You can take that to the nearest bank. Yeah. So Matiang'i is holding on to a horse that died long time ago. He's behaving like a tick. You know, a tick, even when you slaughter the cow, a tick is just there trying to try to get some more blood from a dead skin. So he should start being a man. If he wants to make a name in Kenyan politics, he should stand up. He should divorce himself from this Jubilee captivity. Jubilee are using him. Yeah, the Jubilee are using him. They know very well that they lost. Kenyans divorced them in 2022. Yeah, they were given an opportunity to lead this country in 2017. What did they do from 2022? Kenyans were tired with them. So they are trying now to use Matiang'i to get a few seats here and there. It will not work, I'm telling you. Even in central Kenya, Jubilee will not get seats. Yeah, maybe if Matiang'i wins vice as an MP, he might get in. I don't know where he's come from, Borabu or from where in Nyamira. But in terms of national leadership, Jubilee has no place in Kenyan politics. Hata wakilazimisha Uhuru akue hapo 100 years, he will never resurrect this party. Hii ni kama KANU. KANU ilikwisha na watu wakasahau. So if Matiang'i wants to make if he wants to make inroad in national politics, he should divorce himself from this nonsense of Jubilee. Tengeneza party yako. Don't be afraid to be called a Kisii leader. Don't be afraid. That's how people build their capacity. Politics in Kenya are local. Usijifanye sasa you want to vie on a party that is led by someone from Gatundu and you are come from Kisii so that you can be called a national leader. My friend, even ODM was built, yeah, as a national party, but watu walikuwa nasema hii chama ni Wajaluo, but it's a national party. So if you are afraid to be called at chama yako ni wa Kisii, then you cannot build anything. Start from even Jesus Christ told his disciples, start from Jerusalem. From Jerusalem, go to Judea. From Judea, go to Samaria. From Samaria, then you can go to the ends of the world. So if you are afraid to start in Jerusalem, then you cannot make any progress. You must start from somewhere. Yeah? After starting from somewhere, then you can start making progress. But wewe hatujaanza kwenyu, wewe umeshakimbilia Gatundu, Ishaweri. And now you are the deputy party leader. Now how can a deputy party leader become a presidential candidate? Where? It's either you are the leader or you are not. Yeah. So hii upumbavu ya Jubilee na Matiang'i should just come to an end. Kama Matiang'i anataka kuwa serious kwa hii politics, na kama anataka tu kucheza kama fanya kalongolongo upata potea gambling hii ya sport pesa na aviator, then let him continue, na hakuna kitu atazapata na hii upuuzi anafanya. Politics of Kenya are very ruthless and you must be strategic even to make inroads. So mambo ya Matiang'i nimewachia hapo. He cannot make any inroad using in Kenyan politics using Jubilee, because Jubilee are using him to stay afloat. It will not work. DCP has already taken over central politics. Whether you like it or not, DCP is the party in central Kenya. And now let me go to Malava and other area by election. The decision for DCP to withdraw their candidate in Malava is to ensure that they try to solidify the opposition votes so that they can get that seat as a united opposition. You remember DAP, DCP, and Wiper, they are working together within the united opposition. So if they can ensure that they will withdraw their candidate so that they can solidify their support behind Seth Panyako, and if they can clinch that seat, that will be a strong statement to the ruling party. Because remember, the area member of parliament, the area member of parliament was a member of Jubilee. So if they lose that seat to the opposition, that will be a very strong statement to the president and to the prime cabinet secretary, because that is what he considers to be his stronghold, Nani Musalia Mudavadi. So if the opposition can take that seat from him, then it's going to give them a facelift within the Western politics. And now with Eugene Wamalwa, George Natembea, they are going now to start having a serious conversation with the people of Western Kenya. But if they lose that seat to Ndakwa and Jubilee retained it, not Jubilee, UDA, then this is going to be not good to them, because even within the united opposition, they're going to have some questions to answer, because they have really cried to DCP to withdraw their candidate and they withdrawn. So it is now upon them to ensure that they get this seat, and they ensure that UDA do not get it. But if they don't succeed, then watakuwa na shida kwa Rigathi, I'm telling you. Because remember, this guy had already paid nomination fees and he was cleared by IEBC. So it's a compromise, which is in coalition building is acceptable. In coalition building, you must compromise sometimes by sacrificing your ambitions for the sake of the bigger goal, which is united opposition, the unity of the opposition. So my understanding is they have to work extra hard to ensure that they retain this seat. And that's why you see when UDA had already, wametuma kule anaitwa nani huyu Faruk Kibet nowadays stays in Malava, because they also want to ensure that they get this seat. Yeah, because Malulu Injendi was a member of UDA, and they don't want to lose this seat to the opposition, because the results of this Malava by-election is going to be consequential to either the opposition unity or the government in power, because that is going also to be consequential also to Musalia Mudavadi in terms of his grip on Luhya politics. But Wetangula, coming from Bungoma, I don't really expect much from him, because alikuwa amedomia Ford Kenya inakwanga kule Bungoma County. It is not really in Kakamega County. Back to you, Mark.
Okay, thank you so much. Miguda, you can also give your take on the UDA's, not UDA, the DCP and the DAP party, where they did confirm that they are supporting one candidate, Panyako, who is the candidate for the DAPK. And the question we are asking is, if you remember who Panyako was, he's been in the union and he has a union legacy, from health workers championing to to, at some point he wanted to become a governor, and that's now he's going for the parliamentary seat. Will his grassroots appeal translate? That is the question I'm asking you tonight. And then the strategic alliance, why the DCP and DAP are backing him, and what this means for that, the lawyer unity. And you can as well give us the impact on UDA and ODM stronghold, and of course Ford Kenya, who are currently working together in the broadcast. Could this shift the balance in Kakamega or in Bungoma? You can give us your take on that. And then Mr. Miguda, Babu Owino meets Oburu Oginga, who is the party leader and the brother to the late Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. And of course, the ODM generational transition and the succession signal. And the question I'm asking you is, what is the symbolism of the meeting? Is Babu Owino being groomed for leadership, or was it just a courtesy call based on the complaints that were going on here and there? And something else is the youth versus the legacy politics. Can Babu bridge the generational gap in ODM? That is a question I'm bringing forth to you, Mr. Miguda. And Oburu's role as Raila's brother and elder statesman, what influence does he wield in succession plan? Remember the other day when he was in Ramogi TV, he did mention that the succession is not something that is planned, but it's something that comes automatic. They are not, and they do not have the power to sit down and say that this is the person who is going to take over this particular seat. So you can give us your take on that, Mr. Miguda, and then your final remarks, and then Barak will also, I'll come back with that same question to Barak, and then he'll give us his final remarks as well. Miguda? Mr. Miguda, are you there? Okay, maybe Barak. I don't know whether Miguda is there. You can give us your take on the issue of Babu Owino. If you can hear me, Mr. Barak, the question that I've just asked about Babu Owino is the meeting that he had with Oburu Oginga and the symbolism of the meeting. And the question I'm asking is Babu Owino being groomed for leadership, or was it just a courtesy call based on, the conversation that was going on, that he's been feeling sidelined? Is that what they were going to have a discussion on? You can give us your take. And then I've also talked about the youth versus the legacy politics. Can Babu bridge the generational gap in ODM? That is a question that people are also asking. And Oburu's role as an elder and, of course, Raila's brother, what influence does he wield in succession planning? Part of that, I think he did mention, and he said that he does not have the power to plan for the succession. And he also said that it is something that comes natural. They do not have the power to single out and mention an individual, or to even or to even mention name. Mr. Barak, maybe you can go first. I think Miguda, before we find Miguda. Miguda, are you there?
Bwana Mark, let me. Yeah. I think I think Oburu is trying to be that girl, that elder that brings different functions together and try to ensure that there is some kind of harmony or peaceful coexistence within the larger family. Remember, the problem with the Babu with ODM started when Raila was seen as favoring Sakaja. And remember, Sakaja was always there with Raila, going to AU, going everywhere, and even when it was supposed to be when he was about to be impeached, Baba and came to his rescue. So that alone, and Babu has ambitions of becoming the governor of Nairobi. That is where that's where they had what we call bone of contention, because it was very clear that Raila was favoring Sakaja, and that having that in mind, Babu had to sort himself out early enough, because he understands how ODM how ODM treated huyu jamaa Tim Wanyonyi when he was to become the governor in 2022. So now that Raila has rested and that Oburu is now sitting at the helm of the party, I think it was very important for him to ensure that there's a change of plan, and I think that can really cool down the temperatures that were there in ODM. As far as the gubernatorial of Nairobi, the gubernatorial of Nairobi is concerned, and I think to me that was very important, because you, as a party, if you are a party that is a democratic party, you should ensure that if you want to build your capacity, you should also ensure that you are accommodative to divergent views, especially from the young people who still has a lot of who still has a lot to offer when it comes to the leadership of the country, the leadership of the party. So I think that was very important gesture from the youth leader himself. So in terms of grooming Babu to become I think that was just a normal meeting. I don't think it has, we should read much in it, because I don't believe in this thing of handpicking leaders and then becoming leaders just emerge organically. and remember, even there we had members of parliament in ODM kutoka kitambo. Even those who came in 2007 up to now, they're still members of parliament. Even those who came in 2013 and they're still members of parliament. And remember, Babu came in 2017, and he just serving his second term, and he's causing a lot of ripples within the party. So that shows you that leadership just emerges, and I don't think that a leader who will take over from who will take over, maybe even become a Luo kingpin, will necessarily be a member of parliament of ODM, because ODM has a lot of structures that are really they are really working against anybody who wants to thrive and become something bigger. And if you ask me, I think Oburu Odinga is just a caretaker of ODM and waiting to hand over to Winnie in the next few years. So he's just going to take care of ODM and ensure that, because ODM is, even though it's a national party, but it's a personal business of the Odinga family. So there's no way an outsider will come there and become a party leader. And even if you see, even if you see how people are realigning themselves, there is no one who wants to become the party leader. People want to become just the deputy. They just want to become candidates in elections, but nobody is really declaring their interest in the party leadership, because they know this is a reserve of a specific individuals. Because of how political parties are managed. Remember, Jomo Kenyatta was the first was the party leader of KANU, or chairman. And when he died, Moi took over. When Moi retired, he handed over the party back to Uhuru Kenyatta, mtoto wa Jomo. Vile Uhuru alitoka, we can hand over party to nani? To Gideon Moi, the son of Moi. So so you can see, political parties in this country, they are properties of specific families. Now, it is upon those families to ensure that those parties continue or survive different waves. So right now, it is upon Oburu Odinga to ensure that in the next coming election, ODM will survive. And once ODM survives in the next election, I believe that before the next one, he will have handed over the leadership of ODM to either Winnie Odinga or someone within the family, to ensure that there is continuity and survival of the party, even if it will reach a point where they end up with one member of parliament. But the party must continue to survive. Remember, Moi saizi KANU inapata wabunge wangapi? But the party leader is just there to ensure that it continues to be there. So I don't think that it was a meeting to groom anybody, but it was just a cordial meeting, especially, you know, of how the talk has been out there. So it was very important for this guy, for Babu to go and meet with Boburu, and you could hear. I think you've heard how Buru Odinga has been talking of late, and you can see some words of wisdom kidogo that will ensure that the party survives the storm, because Raila was a heavyweight, and his absence can cause a lot of confusion even within his family and even within his political party. So it was a good one, and I hope they continue meeting as we approach 2027 election, so that everybody will have an opportunity to vie for whatever seat they want without being blocked by I don't know, party hierarchies, by being denied nomination. Everybody should, because people have paid even for nomination fees. So why should you deny them after collecting money from them? Yeah. So if Babu Wino he wants to become a governor of Nairobi, he will be given ODM ticket so that he can also try his luck, so that nobody is blocked courtesy of I don't know who is given direct nomination. That is my opinion. And I think that is the only way to grow a political party. Even those members of parliament who are used to seeing Raila Odinga's name and being given nomination, those kind of nonsense should end. Kila mtu ajipiganie mwenyewe. Those who are failing should just fail, waende nyumbani. Those who are winning should just win and go and serve the people. Yeah, because the bottom line is the people of Kenya need to get services. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Mr. Miguda, are you there?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm here.
Okay, Miguda, before I come to you, allow me to welcome our good friend Alex Bundi. And I want to take this opportunity to welcome him and to let him know that we were having a discussion on what is happening in Tanzania, where we've given our views. And I'll just go straight to the questions and let him generalize or give a generalized take what he thinks. First, we did talk about Tanzania, Tanzania's democratic eruption, where we saw election boycott. We saw quite a number of disqualification, where opposition parties like Chadema and ACT Wazalendo were sidelined. And the question we're asking is, what does this mean for multi-party democracy? And the demonstrations that we were seeing, the youth-led protest, why young Tanzanians are taking to the street, could it be because of the economic frustration, the political exclusion, or the digital activism? You can give us your take on that. And then we also saw the media blackout and internet shutdowns, how the government is controlling the narrative and what's leaking out, because there's much that that is not known on what is really happening in Tanzania. There's little that is coming out. You can give us your take on that and why there's that blockage of people from getting the total news of what is really happening. You can give us your take on what you think about the regional silence and the global. We are seeing a global concern where the neighbors like Kenya, the neighborings like Kenya are remaining silent or quiet, while the international bodies like the US are raising alarms. And what does this demonstration or whatever is happening in Tanzania, what are the impact on East African community and the trade? Could Tanzanians' unrest destabilize East Africa integration effort? And then the next question that we did ask is Matiang'i's presidential endorsement, where the Jubilee's endorsement, Fred Matiang'i named as the party's 2027 presidential candidate. What does this signal? And of course, Raila's succession puzzle. Is Matiang'i the heir apparent, or is this a separate power center forming? We saw Matiang'i some few days ago at Raila's home where he was buried, and he did speak about the unity of the people of Nyanza, that is the Kisis and the Luos. You can give us your take on that and the public reaction and the political strategy, how Kenyans are responding to Matiang'i's return and what it means for the youth. I think you can give us your take on that, Mr. Alex, before I give you more questions.
Actually, I'm at work. I may not take a lot of time because it's here. It's just 3 o'clock. So first of all, I want to say hi. I usually listen to you guys from behind, and I love the conversation that you people do have. Once in a while, I will comment there down because of the heavy load sometimes during work time. So just listening is enough. What's happening in Eastern Africa is troubling. When Ruto ascended into power, it was a Western crafted narrative so as through democracy and the expansion of what we call the liberal economy that was going to see these three regions, more especially Rwanda, Kenya, and Tanzania, continue with the economic progress that obviously Magufuli shared with Raila Amolo Odinga. It is no secret that at some point Raila said he was the key economic advisor of Magufuli, and to that he made sure that he dealt with the issue of the burdens of loans, foreign aid, so on and so forth, and that spurred an economic growth that we've never seen. And we saw Tanzania start building its own SGR without taking any loans, and if it did, it had to be internal. And towards that end, when Raila was, agitating to become the president, the Western countries had to block that totally. In the event when Ruto took over, the dissidents, punitive measures in all the countries that surround us took center stage. From Ethiopia, whose election has never been announced a couple of years ago till to date, the constant power rationing that goes on there, the fact that it has the African Union headquarters, it is one country that has totally committed genocide towards one group of people. Southern Sudan, you saw Kir is functionally unable to even walk. The guy pees on himself even when he puts on his diaper. You've seen several times that even urine comes out of his trousers, but yet they jailed Machar, who was supposed to take over. Uganda, you've seen Bisinje over and over. Our young girl and only Iron Lady in Kenya has tried so much to make sure that Bisinje is out, but it's been very shameful to see the man, so emaciated and almost dead, but still on the dock. Tundu Lissu, you saw what has happened to him. Tanzania did not have an election because all opposition leaders were barred from contesting. If you go to Rwanda, it's the biggest joke, even though the country economically is functional, but so on and so forth. And now comes the death of Raila, which obviously many opposition leaders were barred from those countries, who are again in jail, wanted to come for the funeral. None of them was allowed, which made sure that none of the state presidents came to bury Raila Amolo Odinga. You could imagine why Ruto could not allow that. You can imagine why Ruto could not allow it. It's not that the president, when you look at, because I have few friends who work for our foreign agencies, our foreign embassies, I ask them, even if it was 72 hours, you want to tell me that that could not happen? No, no, no. it was a blockade from our side. They could not guarantee security or bring them, so they said the time is short. We cannot be able to manage everything. So add to that, they refused. And the more reason they refused is coming for the burial of Raila, a man who was honored the way he honored by the people, because it was the people's funeral. It was a repudiation to these presidents on what they are doing to their countries. So remember, Uganda is having an election. At the same time, Tanzania is having an election. And I'll tell you, it is sad that these are not just elections. Otherwise, it's strange that Raila died was to see a mosque to country because he wanted to cross over, but he wouldn't be allowed. And you understand. So Tanzanian issue has been elevated by the courage of Kenyans. And you can understand that when he was free, he refused because he knew October is going to be fine. It was about the intelligence. These kids are going to be supported by politicians and also by the military somehow. So in the end, you saw what happened. And I think Sulu is a fast phase. She will have to go. Unfortunately, she's being advised by Kikwete, a man who wanted to be still the ruler. Give me a few minutes. I'll come back.
Okay, thank you so much. You are not very clear. Miguda, maybe I'll come to you. You can give your take on that. I don't know if, he was, Alex was not very clear. I really wanted to hear what he wanted to say about Matiang'i because apparently I saw him write comment about said that he had some reservations and he did ask a question to Good here that I wanted him to give a clarification on what he meant. Yeah, I think he'll come back. Miguda, maybe your take on Babu and the meeting that he had with Dr. Buru, the party leader of ODM.
Okay, just want to mention a very few things. One, Dr. Brodinga, in my view, my own view, I'm viewing him as someone who has a different tact on how to handle issues, unlike the brother. Remember, two are different. They're different personalities, even though they're brothers. Raila was someone who was, you understand, it was a tough person. And he also had a very big influence around him, that surrounds him. Therefore, he had issues, real issues, with other people in the party, but you could not dare attack him or even add an audience with him discussing a personal issue. And his stature in that party, he was beyond approach, that party. So to me, I can just say I heard Oburu very clearly. I heard him speaking Luo, and I get Luo very clearly. And I believe he's ready to rectify mistakes that has been there before, which made the party to be unpopular. Because for him, he is advocating for the unity of the party, unity of the people. And when he was asked, how do you bring people together? And there are some young thugs within the party who are opposed to the direction of the party. Then it was very clear. And he said that people like Sifuna are going to be the party. And Sifuna can be corrected, but Sifuna has committed no crime for him to be kicked out of the party. Then when he was now responding the issue of Babu, he said Babu has a personal issue that he thought he was not going to be given direct ticket for the ODM. And even emphasized that we don't issue direct ticket. And if there is anybody who has been doing that, he has been doing it illegally, but that's not in accordance with the party. He was even referring that even if Ella did it, but he was doing it illegally, but now we are going to operate party the way it should be happen, the way it should be operated. I think from the words of Brooding, I can confess to you that they say that wisdom comes with age. And he spoke like a wise man. He addressed those issues within 45 minutes, and people were contented. And he said, yeah, goes no issue with Babu. No, the problem has been this issue of kingpin, that you are discussing the succession of the king is alive, or you want to overtake, and there's a queue. And Oburu said, let me now quote Oburu, that even Raila himself was never elected as the low kingpin. That thing called kingpin, you just emerge automatically from nowhere. People just love you, the so-called Juogi. People just talk about you, and you become a king automatically. But it is not an elective position that we are going to elect so and so to be kingpin. Or it is not a position whereby you have to force yourself to that you claim I'm the kingpin. And he said Raila never claimed, Raila was never elected. It just emerged. And he said that even the next kingpin is not among their peers. It's not among the people who are currently serving in the ODM. It was very clear. He said there will be a kingpin, but not the current leaders we are seeing today. He will come one day in time. And as we are very much patient, we don't have any hurry to know the next kingpin, because we understand he will emerge. So he said that he has actually seek an audience with Babu. He wanted to meet Babu in person, but they met and they discussed that issues that are pressing Babu. That if you are remain in ODM, go for nomination, then we give you ticket. No one is going to deny you ticket. And that has been the issue. Now the issue of kingpin will just come automatically. It's not something that you have to force people. I think that's what he wanted to address, and try to listen to him. Sometimes he's a wise old man. Forgot about what people are saying about youth leader, whatever people are saying about old person, but focus on what he's talking about. He's advocating for unity. He's advocating for unity of the community and the unity of the party. And it is only unity that can give you strength. And that's why we have been insisting, and we have been advocating that don't interfere with Gachagua. Let Gachagua unite his people. The way no one is interfering with William Ruto, uniting Rift Valley, going to look for people like Gideon, bring them together. First, you must unite as a community and have strength. Then you come to the negotiation table. But you cannot come when you are divided. It will not give you credibility in terms of positioning. So I just want to report that I like the different way Dr. Broding has taken. He might look weakling, but sometimes it's very important to handle matters diplomatically than using the military tactics, the Jeshi la Baba way. Oburu might forego the Jeshi la Baba way and handle things in a diplomatic way. And also right now, he's placed at a better position to foresee future of the party, future of the Odinga family, and the future of the community, right? Because right now Raila has been buried, and he has the capacity to see many things at his level. That's why I was urging us, young people, don't have any hurry, relax. They will emerge sometimes later, but not now. But anybody want to get any elective position, join the party, be a member, contest. If there's any disagreement in consensus, then we can take you to primaries. But I've just heard people saying, if they can handle primaries with the fairness, then they will attract many people to the party. But if they decide to do those old tactics, people will run away. And it was emphasized by Ruth Odhiambo that he was appealing to the members of parliament, go back and seek mandate to the people. Don't cry for us when we deny you tickets. I think that's how things should be. Let us do things in the right manner. Let us do fair nominations. Without those fair nominations, then they will destroy the good party.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Miguda. I can see LX is back. LX, maybe you
Yes,
can
thank you.
continue.
Yeah, quickly. And that's the issue that brought me earlier. Yes, it was not the Tanzania issue. You know, it is easier to talk when you're a senator, not a party leader, when you're agitating for things and the side of your lining, political lining on various issues. But when you become a party leader, then I think the narrative is in a position that he was never before. And he didn't think it's going to come to him this fast. I don't think in his life he thought this was going to be. So the positions he took previously and the things he said previously cannot just be ignored. They've come to haunt him somehow. We may not be honest enough to say them, but deep down, you know, there are things that people say that were not right, outright for a future party leader. So, and Oburu takes over when ODM is in attack. The Secretary General has openly in a primetime media said the party is confused in what they used to stand for, they no longer stand for, especially Chapter 4. When people like Masaris came and said, like, in the future, if people want to demonstrate and picketing, it must be stopped. And question how the movements, and then he asked, question how the movement started, and say it will be tragic that the people that formed a party out of picketing are the one to want to amend the constitution. Now, I want you guys to be honest. I am a little bit blessed to know the Luo language, and I listen to Ogun very well. Can even watch? In all truth, you will see that Ogun was doing damage control. Inevitable damage control that so obviously people like Gladys Wanga, people like Mbadi, the mistakes that were made during Raila's funeral that we ignored, we did not say it, but obviously put ODM on an existential, pathway. And one of it was the mistreatment of Papa Win. Now, when Oburu say, Awinjo Wachani and ABCD, Amanye, I'm looking for him, Mondo I lost, he's lying. We in Odia took Sakaja, gave him the Ligaria off, and said he is our 2027 governor. You know that, it's on the record. Secondly, when it became unattainable that this man, Sakaja, is not capable to lead, people like Alai went and begged Baba. Remember, Alai comes back and said, man, Baba himself called me and said, we cannot touch. Alai went to Twitter. So let's not just saying Oburu is wise, so on and so forth. There's no wisdom in lying and not handling things the way they should have been in from the beginning. Okay? So when he lies that I don't know why he's making noise, we need to sit down, I'm looking for him. Babu Wino has been mistreated throughout. And Babu Wino could not have become this popular had it not for him agitating for the people of Nairobi constantly and saying Sakaja is the wrongest person. And he has constantly gone to the media and told the people like, this person, Nisharetu, all the members of parliament, we have said we want to meet him. We are, remember when he even went and took a garbage to KPLC because walikuwa wamekata moto. Like the guy is worse than anybody who has become a governor. And you know, ODM MCS wanted actually to eject the man, but the central command of ODM refused. The Sakaja cannot go. In fact, Sakaja remains to be the governor of Nairobi because of ODM. So Sama Oburu Riamponi, he doesn't know what the problem is, and then we start saying he's wise. You need to look at his face and say, don't joke with the lives and the people of Nairobi. What Babu Win has been saying has not been that he is rebelling. No, it's been the truth, and we made a mistake to uphold the governorship of Sakaja for a very long time. Now, the other thing that he said that was quite interesting, and he put it in a parable. And I've asked a lot of my Luo friends, because that's a heavy parable. Actually, you know, Moimaten, Nyakongeni, and I'm paraphrasing because the real way he said it was even more laughable. You know, Kamando, Mandeo Pogang, Luete. You know, well, that's a very good proverb, and I like it. Why? Because honestly, you have to gauge yourself. If you are man enough to pregnant a woman before you say you want to get married, I think that was insinuating. But Wasakaja, given that threshold, obviously no. So for Babu Wino to be given, and I think that is another art of life that I think should not be tolerated. If Oburu wants to set the precedence right, he has an opportunity, because Baba was sick and Baba understood his days are numbered, obviously from what we see. Some of us castigated him by going to Ruto. We forgive him because he wanted to leave us in peace, not in shame. Had Baba decided to go the way we wanted, obviously, today the country would have been in a very wrong, position. So I disagreed with him on principle, but the fact that he's able to leave us in peace in a country, then he will have left us what we wanted without peace. I think you look at the lesser evil and the better, goodness. I think he left us with peace. So I forgive him for that. But that does not negate that mistakes were done. Now, it's a high time, because Oburu now seems to be a transitional leader. Okay? How can he now go back and resolve all these issues that actually has put ODM to be in a position that it shouldn't be? We have people like the governor of Mombasa, we have people like Simbarati, we have people like Gladys Wanga, we have people like Atandi who are saying, let him go, telling people to get out of ODM. We don't want him. You see, at some point, the Luo nation needs to accept this. Some of the people that spoke during Baba's funeral acted as if ODM belongs to Luo Nyanza, which absolutely was a very wrong thing. But because it was a funeral that of a man we respected across, we have to be silent. Why? Because in the end of the day, their rhetoric did not matter. His respect, the man that was laying in the coffin. So it's a high time people should be disciplined. People like Atandi. Okay, people who are telling Edwin Sifuna not to have a position that obviously may not be the position of some of these so-called insiders, or who have taken the committee seats. Now, Oburu has a golden opportunity. Anytime you are new to leadership, because you are given the leverage to do what it takes for the party to survive, Oburu has had an opportunity to eject the Mbadis, the Wandais, the people who are tainting the national look of ODM. Now, if they are not agreeing with Sifuna, because Sifuna seems to say something else, when he is reading the press, he says something else, and later on he says he's forced to read. That's a very wrong precedence post Baba. Okay? So ODM is doing what we call damage control. But at the center of it, if it is not resolving the key core issues, which was we can't support Ruto. Secondly, this is a party that has been built for a very long time. And if we have to celebrate, we don't want stupidity like Simbarati telling us that we are inviting Ruto because he's the founder member for 20th anniversary. These are people, obviously they were founder members. We don't disagree. But do they have the goodwill of this party to continue that are so fought for us? Until today, we are capable to be sitting here, me and you, and talk. Are they for this party or they want it to die? So if that is the case, people like Simbarati must be disciplined because they are not talking for the party. They're speaking for themselves, and it ends up that they are speaking in a wrong way, and we are losing membership, or some of us are so confused whether we are still there or not. The truth is this: if Oburu takes the path of what the ODM Kenya wants it to be, it will be a great thing. But if it takes the path of the Luo ODM leadership, because Oburu did not succeed Raila because he's a Luo. Secondly, he did not succeed Raila because he's from the Odinga family. I don't believe so as a person who has affiliation with ADM. I believe he took over because it was the right thing to keep the party together temporarily while we see, because he is obviously a transitional leader. Oburu is not going to be there 5 years from now. So as a transitional leader, it was good to pick an older person, a person that is not going to be there permanently, but at the same time, a person who will spur a new generation of leaders that nationally, ODM will still have the outlook of the nation rather than DCP, Jubilee, UDA that did not have a national outlook and obviously cannot have a national outlook the way ODM has enjoyed. So I think Oburu should do the right thing, not do just damage control, but deal with issues that people took advantage and messed up ODM when Baba was dealing with his health issues. One of them is Babu Wino, the second is Sifuna, and others is people reckless, people like Gladys Wanga, and third, the issue of Kasipul Kabondo is going to be critical because I think the people of Kasipul Kabondo must have their say in as much as we may want to force it. That is all I can say for now.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Alex. Barak, do you have anything to add or any question to ask Alex before we give our final remarks?
No, I don't have any question to ask.
Okay, Mr. Barak, you can then give us your final remarks, and then I'll give Alex to also give his final remarks, and then we can call it a day. We meet tomorrow. Barak, your final remarks?
I just want to say that it was nice having this session today. And as we continue to monitor the situation in Tanzania and everything, let us not lose focus of our own. You know, we are pretending as if we don't have problems in Kenya, that now Tanzania is so urgent. And we don't realize that today was the 44th day since the lecturers went on strike. Our young men and women are out there sufferings, depressed. Others have already committed suicide. And that is now the generation that are supposed to take leadership of this country in the next coming days. We are forgetting about our health challenges, education challenges. And so I think that there's a day that Trump was asked that Trump was informed that Germany was having an election, and Trump's response that I wish them well. And there was asked about his opinion. He said, "No, we have many problems as Americans, and I think we need to deal with our problems. Let us not focus on other people's problems." So that is the same thing that I think I would want to say to my fellow Kenyans. Let us focus on sorting our issues. We have so many problems as a country. Let us sort out our problems. Tanzania should also sort out their problems. Uganda the same, Rwanda the same. Because if you focus so much on your neighbor's problems, once their problems are sorted out, you find that yours is now you are in a deep hole. So Kenya, we have a government that is sleeping on the job, a government that is not concerned that lecturers are on strike 44 days and counting. And the government is just busy with the empowerment programs, I don't know what, by elections, everything. And they are forgetting that more than 500,000 young men are out there. They are not in classes, and the semesters are on. If this is not a crisis, then I don't know what a crisis is. Yeah, we mourned Mzee Raila Odinga. So the country is supposed to move on, my friend. Those who are still alive need food, they need shelter, they need medication, they need education, they need development. Wale wamemaliza safari wameshamaliza safari yao. They are not coming back to save us from anything. It is upon us who are still breathing to save ourselves from the mess that we are in. Yeah? So we should not focus so much on issues that are not affecting us as a people. We should sort out the issues that are affecting us directly. Yeah? For example, if your brother is going hungry and you don't have money, you cannot help him. So you must focus on how to build yourself financially, build your capacity, so that when your brother or your neighbor is in problem, you can lend them whatever you have, or you can even donate to them. But if you don't, you have zero, your brother has zero, your neighbor has zero, who will help the other person when in terms of need? So Kenyans, let us focus on our mess. Let us focus on sorting out our mess. Let us focus on electing leaders who can serve us. Sasa tunaamka asubuhi unapiga kura, ukishapigia mpumbavu kura, then you start blaming others. When you are going to election, ensure that you elect a leader who can serve you, a leader of integrity. But when you elect people who you are sure that they've forged even the academic documents, you are electing leaders who are pretending to be other people who they are not, then you expect miracles. Yeah. So we must be objective as a country. If we want to make us change in this country, we must be objective, and we must analyze these leaders and vet them. And when we elect them, we know that we're electing men and women of integrity. Sio wakora ambao watakuja kututwist hapa na pale, then you start saying, hey, this is not working, and they don't care. The education, look at the education sector. When I think of education in this country, sometimes I weep for this country, because when you are destroying education, you are destroying the future of this society. There is no way you can build a country. Ruto is talking about making Kenya to be like Singapore in 2050, and you are busy undermining education. You are destroying the education. So how are you going to build a country when you have nobody in school? How is that possible? So I beseech you, fellow Kenyans, when we go to election, I hear people saying, let us register. Registration as a voter is very important, but voting for the right person is the most important thing. You can register even 10 million and you vote for a mediocre. You vote for a demagogue. Then you start crying the following day, you want to remove him. And remember the security of Kenya for 5 years. When someone has assumed office, removing him is bloodshed. Removing him is a problem. So let us register as voters, especially those who have never registered. But most importantly, vote for the right leader when the voting day comes. Don't just do patapotea na kura yako. Thank you so much, Bwana Mek, and thank you so much, all our viewers, led by Gypsy Corner. It was nice having you today. See you again tomorrow. Good night.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Barak. Alex, what are your final remarks?
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. For me, I don't know if you, for me, I mean, I think ODM has an opportunity to restructure itself, because if you look at the history of political parties, I think one of the reasons we are not achieving the leadership, the chapter 6 part of our constitution, leaders that can actually help us, be in tandem with the level of our, whether political maturity, constitution, or whichever, gauge we want to put, is because we are recycling new parties that have not been tested. It's sad that we want to give away ODM. So 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 what I can say is, I wish they sit down as ODM and decide for the future of this country and the legacy of a man that we all agree as a nation. It was a statement that ODM should be restructured to fit the current situation and to be able to compete for 2027. And we must make vigorous, preparation towards that as soon as possible. We must depart from the so-called the experts in the government, because if we do so, it's going to be challenging, difficult, and complex to be having people who used to be the leaders of ODM but now are in the government. How are we just going to divorce ourselves in that? If that is the case, let us just forget that this is dead, and we have a different trajectory, and say, you know what, I think we have given up. The other thing, I didn't want, I mean, my friend says we shouldn't worry about other countries. We can't ignore the two countries. If you had in the funeral of Raila, the first thing you had is Obasanjo came, they went and spoke, ABCD. That reminds you the meeting that Obasanjo and Ruto and Samia had in Mombasa, and we used to have speculation about that, but it was confirmed during the funeral of Baba that this is how Ruto and Raila came together to talk to avert whatever we wanted, and that was actually open the servers. We want to know who won. And secondly, you saw how Museveni came during the inauguration of Ruto with his toilet and everything, is army command, as if he was the head of state. These two countries have affected our politics more than we have affected them. So for us to say that we can divorce ourselves from that, it's a big lie. Kenyans must agitate for regime change in these two countries, Uganda and Tanzania, for our democracy also to work. I strongly feel like the regime change of Uganda and Tanzania is critical for our fight of total change. The people that have made sure the status quo has remained, we hear that people voted from Uganda. In Kisumu, we have seen people coming to help post-election that are policemen from so and so. In Bomas, we heard they were not even our own Askaris who came to man. Bomas, it was from Uganda. Then how can we forget so quickly and start saying that, no, Museveni and CCM have dented the political journey of Kenya. And we Kenyans must do everything in our capacity to make sure the regime changes in these two countries is what also is going to spur a complete good change in our country. That's my own feeling, that we cannot ignore these two countries because they have interfered with every other election from 2007 to date. Both these countries They have severely interfered with our country, whether we like it or not. And therefore, their democratization and regime change is critical for us too. That is my feeling.
Okay, thank you so much, my good friend Alex, for finding time to join us this evening. We really appreciate you taking your time to be with us. Thank you so much, and we hope that if you find time, you'll always come and join us and give us your take. To our viewers, this is Brother Benson Media, and here we say that your opinion counts. If you are new, kindly like and subscribe to the channel. If you do so, it is a way of supporting us, na sisi hapa tutasema ni asante. I can say a good friend, Brother Ben, is also here. Brother Ben, how are you?
I'm okay. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Yes.
Karibu. Dakika za lala salama.
Wanasema niliona Alex Budi alikuwa huko, amepotelea wapi?
Ametoka tu saizi.
He was on the show.
Yes, he was with us for some minutes.
Oh, you know that Alex is usually very resourceful, especially he knows so much about the politics, and I think you can, if he's still listening to us, maybe one day you can have him one-on-one to engage him. He's usually very resourceful.
Yeah, I remember we used to debate with him in the other platform.
Yeah.
Where we used to talk a lot.
Yeah.
I
So
remember most of the time he would come to give his take.
all right, that's good. I wish I could have been in the show with him. Alex is usually very good to debate. I can see Elijah Wafula. How are you doing, sir, Mr. Elijah Wafula? Yeah. Yes.
Yeah,
What is the discussion of today?
yeah, we were just having a discussion on what is happening in Tanzania, where we did tackle quite a lot, including the election boycott and the disqualification, where opposition parties like Chadema and ACT Wazalendo were sidelined. And what does this mean for multi-party democracy? We also gave our views on the youth-led protest, why young Tanzanians are taking to the street. Is it because of the economic frustration? Is it because of the political exclusion? Is it because of the digital activism? And then we also partly talked about the media blackout and internet shutdown, how the government is controlling the narrative and what is leaking out anyway. The regional silence versus the global concern. We've seen neighboring countries like Kenya remain quiet while the international bodies like the US are raising alarms. And what are the impacts on East African community and trade? Could Tanzanians' unrest destabilize East African integration efforts? Maybe you can give us your take on that as well before I get to this other question.
Okay, I've been following Tanzania. I think yesterday we started our discussion, especially when we were looking at what has really happened in Tanzania. And you can remember very well what we said. This is a very, very remarkable history in the political process of Tanzania. You look at you look at Tanzania in I think it is in 1997 or 1992. I can go and confirm. That is when the issue of multi-partyism, parties like Chadema came. And ACT, Wazalendo, all those political parties. But if you look at during the previous administrations, especially you look at the administration of Jakaya Kikwete or even administration of Benjamin Mkapa, they had robust debates and people did not witness what they are witnessing now. And I don't know what happened with the administration of Madam Suluhu, because despite all what is happening, even if Madam Suluhu could have left um, all these bigger political parties to run, they were not going to win. And this was informed by the structures of CCM. When you look at structures of CCM, it's even in the rural areas, where you find was kijiji mtaani kule, all those that are appointed are working for government, they work under CCM. And you will realize that the CCM, especially when you look at the CCM, the constitution of CCM tend to be even more powerful than the constitution of the country, and we talked about that yesterday. So I think this is a very, very, very big litmus test, especially for the Tanzania, Uganda, and especially the neighboring countries, because as you've said, you've seen the neighboring countries like Tanzania and Uganda, they've kept quiet. And there's a common denominator, especially in East Africa right now, that is happening, especially when it comes to unrest, whereby you find that dissenting opinions are not being allowed, and they go through a lot, especially when you look at what Tindilisu went through. First of all, he was charged with the treason, and he has been battling that case in court until some few days ago, just before people go to the polls. That is when he won the case. Look at what is happening for Kiza Besije. Right now, he is in jail, and whereby, and young people are coming out. So it is something that is when you look at the democracy of East Africa, when we talk about that democracy, it is and under we could say that under trial. That is something that I would say.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Maybe something else you can give your take on is the Matiang'i presidential endorsement, where the Jubilee's endorsement for we saw Fred Matiang'i named as the party's 2027 presidential candidate.
Was it presidential candidate or the deputy party leader?
He was named as the deputy party leader, but at the same time named the party 2027 presidential candidate. And the question I'm asking is, what does this signal? And then the Raila succession, is Matiang'i the heir apparent, or is this a separate power center forming? Because remember, Matiang'i visited Raila's graveyard and he did speak. He was accompanied, of course, with a number of Kisi leaders, and he did say that he did emphasize on the unity of the Nyanza people and the fact that they need to work together as the Luo community and the Kisi community. What did he mean and what is he pursuing? And of course, you can give us the public reaction and political strategy, how Kenyans are responding to that. You can as well give us your take on DCP and DAP endorsing Seth Panyako, where remember Seth Panyako's union legacy from health worker champion to gubernatorial candidate to now a member of parliament candidate. Will his grassroots appeal translate? Then the strategic alliance, why the DCP and DAP are backing him, and what this mean, and you can give us the impact on UD and ODM stronghold. Could this shift the balance in Kakamega and Bungoma? Can give us your take.
Okay, now talking about the DCP actually stepping down to support the DAP Kenya candidate, I think they were very strategic. I think this was the United Opposition were very strategic, and they wanted maybe to see how the UDA part and the ODM are going to react, because Malala had insisted of DCP having a candidate in Malaba. And they've seen that if they do that, they might divide the votes for that. And for a period of that short-lived period whereby they were campaigning, I think it was also a strategy for them, to play mind game with the UDA candidate. So I think by them stepping down, the DCP candidate stepping down and supporting the DAP Kenya candidate, that one is showing you that one of their main agenda is to make sure that they win that seat. And remember, that seat of that constituency was held by ANC party. And as we speak today, ANC party folded his party and joined the UDA. So as we speak right now, Musalia Mudavadi is at a crossroad because he has to drum support for the UDA. And even remember during the nomination, the son of Chindi Mwale was accusing Mudavadi of playing some games, and that made him to be defeated. So um, the Malava constituency, or the Seth Panyako, I think is going to win. Remember, Boni Alwale and Natembea also at some point. Boni Alwale, let's say that Natembea had already supported Panyako. Boni Alwale also is supporting Panyako. So that one will be a clear indication, especially to look at even Kakamega politics. How is Kakamega politics going to be? So for that, I think they are destined to win that seat. That's why they decided to make sure the DCP candidate step down and support the DAP. Now, coming to the one for Matiang'i, remember Matiang'i, as we've always said in this platform that Matiang'i was headed to Jubilee. And there are so many considerations that they might have put in place. Remember, Matiang'i had worked with Uhuru Kenyatta in his administration, and he was a very close ally of Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. So I think by that gave him he gave him an opportunity to know what Jubilee is all about, because during the time that they were working with President Uhuru Kenyatta, it was Jubilee administration. And remember, then President was the leader of Jubilee, and Matiang'i, after the disagreement between the president and the deputy president, who is now the president, President William Ruto, Matiang'i was seen as the second in command. So Matiang'i understood everything about Jubilee and about Uhuru Kenyatta. That is one. Secondly, remember, when you are coming into a political arena, you need to have a political party. And being that Matiang'i was a newcomer, maybe he saw it wise that to come with the Jubilee ticket. One, because Jubilee is a political party that has been in place, that is well known countrywide. Secondly, when you look at even how the President Uhuru Kenyatta connects with the people, you saw that when he was given an opportunity to say his wishes to the Right Honorable Prime Minister at Kasarani and at Okangoka Jaramogi, you saw the reception that people had. So that extension of Uhuru legacy with the people also can give Matiang'i an edge. And two, it also gives the Jubilee a platform to bargain. What are they bargain for? Especially when they have that united opposition. They will say that we are going to give Jubilee is going to give us deputy, or Jubilee is going to give us president. And also it offers another opportunity for those who do not agree with the ideology or the art of politics of Rigathi Gachagua. It's a very good move, but also very hectic, because if you also look at the history of the political parties or the political parties that have ruled the country and left the administration, they've never done well. Look at KANU. Immediately after KANU came out of power, they've not survived. Look at again the PNU. they've not survived. Remember when TNA and URP came together, they merged, and both the parties, they were all wiped from political waters. So I don't know how, by Matiang'i being named the deputy or being the flag bearer, is going to bring energy into the Jubilee political party. And also something also that we have to look at, the Jubilee party tend to have the larger or the stronger zones in Mount Kenya, where also we have Rigathi Gachagua. I don't know how they are going to balance off in Mount Kenya. So that is something that we have to look at. Gibson Kona, sorry, I'm a late comer. Pole sana.
Okay, thank you so much. You can give us your take on Babu Owino meeting Oburu Oginga, who is the party leader, and what is the symbolism of the meeting? Is Babu Owino being groomed for leadership, or what? Or was it just a courtesy call? Youth versus the legacy politics. Can Babu bridge the generational gap in ODM?
You know,
Oburu's role as Raila's brother and elder statesman. What influence does he wield in succession plan? And then you can give us your final remarks.
okay, thank you. When you look at, Oburu Ginga was in Ramogi the other day with Trevor, and Trevor asked him more about Babu, and he came out and he said that he's looking for Babu. So what Oburu is trying to do. Oburu is trying to bring people like Babu Owino maybe to ODM to make it stronger, because right now as we speak, ODM is not stronger as we may think, because the pillar that was holding ODM was the Right Honorable Prime Minister Raila Odinga, and Prime Minister Raila Odinga is gone. So they have to do everything within their means to make sure that people who having dissenting opinion, especially like Babu, are accommodated, for them to remain united. And maybe another thing, maybe he might have called Babu to um, advise him. Oburu is the eldest, and tell him that, okay, you can continue having your own opinion, but you just make sure that you stayed in ODM, because like Babu has a constituency, especially the younger generation, and there's also those who are in the school of thought for Babu Owino, such that if Babu Owino leaves ODM, uh, there will be an impact, towards 2027. So Oburu is trying very hard to make sure that he keeps the house safe, especially, and keep the house united, so that they can uh, uh, forge in 2027. Another thing is that, like, also maybe grooming. I don't think they need to groom somebody, because now from the look of things, when the right time comes, especially when you look at the Luo politics, uh, I think I would go with what Mwalimu Akach said, that the spirit will come from the lake and choose somebody. So if it will be Babu, that one will be okay. If it will be somebody, it will be okay, because it's the people. The people are going to 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 decide who is going to be their spokesperson. This is something that nobody is going to decide. It's the people who are going to decide. Or is that's okay?
Yeah, you can give us your final remarks.
Uh,
And
uh,
unless if there's anything else that you want to give your take on.
Nothing much. What I would want to say is that to thank everyone who joined the show. And I believe tomorrow, if we get time, I will also join you, Makubura, when you have a show. And if Alex is still listening to me, he can let us know, so that we can have a candid conversation with him on some other issues. Especially, he understands about the politics of the country, and look at the ODM, look at the president, and where people headed, and what next after what we've seen, especially about Tanzania, because like Tanzania, it's not a contest of election, because you see that Samia Suluhu was competing against herself. In other words, we call it was a coronation. She was just being coronated, but there was no election. There was no election, especially for Suluhu Hassan.
Okay. Your final remarks?
Nothing much, Mr. Makobura. Thank you for hosting, and I will be seeing you tomorrow.
Okay, thank you so much. Allow me to acknowledge and to say a big thank you to our good friend Goodyear. Thank you for finding time to be with us. Really appreciate. Elijah, thank you so much. LX, thank you so much for finding time as well to be with us. We really appreciate. And thanks again for finding time to join us at the studio. There was Kibogong, our good friend Kibogong. Thank you so much as well for finding time to be with us. Really appreciate. Allow me to to say a big thank you to Leo Nyabaya, Benson, of course, Tony Cruz, Brenda Obedi, Ochere Charles, Austin Okumu, and Faith Ken. Thank you so much for finding time to be with us this evening. We really appreciate. I want to take this opportunity now to wish you all. To remind you that if you are watching for the first time, kindly like and subscribe to the channel. It is a way of supporting us, na sisi hapa tutashukuru. I want to take this opportunity now to wish you all a blessed night, a blessed morning, a blessed afternoon, a blessed evening from wherever you're watching us from. Thank you so much, and may God bless you. See you again tomorrow.